Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the stage show here. I have Tim Getsch, CEO of COMC. How are you guys all? You all having a good time? Yeah? Relaxing? Good show so far? So, Tim, welcome to the stage here for our interviews. For some of those who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and so people can get an idea of who Tim Getsch is?
Sure. Well, I'm Tim Getsch, founder and CEO of COMC. I grew up coming to card shows, not quite as big as this one. This is incredible how the industry has grown. But as a kid, I was a diehard collector. I would go to shows on the weekends. I lived at the local card shop. And then I had this idea of starting a service that helped collectors like myself easily go buy and sell cards without having to do all the hassle of listing cards and shipping them and customer service and payment processing. Almost 20 years ago, I started thinking about this, and for the last 16 years, we've been offering the services, online consignment services for trading cards at COMC.
Thank you for that. And just for you guys, you want to give everyone the website so they can go check you out?
Yeah.
Who it is?
It's COMC, COMC.com. That's short for Check Out My Cards. So COMC.com, you can consign cards there. You can ship them to us. You can drop them off at our booth here. We're in the other hall. You can have all your questions answered about how the service works. We make it safe and easy for you to buy and sell cards online.
And as a person who's been using COMC for, wow, I'm going to say over almost 10 years I've been on there. I've been using it religiously, and you guys, it'll be a good thing to check out. Please check it out. So, Tim, I know it's your first time you came to Toronto. As a fellow Canadian and an enthusiastic attendee of this show, I look forward to this all the time, and a heavy user of your site. Why did you wait this long to come here?
I've been trying to find a good reason, and we've tried coming several times. We had plans coming, and then COVID changed things. Last year we were going to come, and my wife's back here with our new 4-month-old. So the last 2 times we didn't come because traveling was not ideal. But there's been a lot of opportunities. And I don't know how I managed to wait this long, but having seen this show, there's no way I'm waiting a long time to come back. This is an incredible show.
Yeah, so everyone's here. I want Tim and the family to come back for the Bedard release in the next show. So everyone, please send emails to him to get him to come back. Yeah. So we're on about 2.5 days in now to the Toronto Expo. What are your initial thoughts of how it's been?
Well, just walking over here from the other hall was inspiring and terrifying. I have never been in that tight quarters. It was very difficult. It took us about 20 minutes to walk from there to here. I remember the first show, the first national after COVID. That was terrifying in its own way, packed. This is nuts. I've never seen a card show like this before. This is amazing.
Yeah, us Canadians and the Americans and people from overseas are very passionate followers and attendees of the show, and they love it. And just as a side note, I was mentioning this to Tim earlier, would you all believe this used to fit only in Hall 5, about half the hall? As recently as probably about 8-9 years ago, like that was the days where you could walk freely, you could lie down in the hallway, there was room. Now you can't do that. Yeah. So I wanted to just ask a couple more questions here. So we're well studied on the state of the hobby part of the pandemic. We are past it. So in your mind, now we've gotten over the hard times, what has changed in your mind?
So I've been following the hobby very closely, obviously, this whole time that we've been offering our consignment services. And going into the pandemic, we had already started to see an increase in interest. Yeah. And obviously with the pandemic, things blew up and like everybody remembered cards or discovered cards. Coming out, surprisingly, I feel like people have gained a new appreciation for doing things in person like this. Like people want to come to shows. We see so many regional shows, the national setting records. Like people want to be in person enjoying the hobby of trading cards. So I think that's been not just so many new people coming into the hobby or people remembering about the hobby and coming back, but we recognize, like, okay, online is cool and all, but doing this in person is important.
Yeah, you can't hold a card in a Zoom meeting, I can tell you that. Now, mention that you did talk about COVID, and COVID was a rough time. We saw an increase in innovation.
Yeah.
So you started a very successful business. We all how has COMC evolved and matured during that time?
All right. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about here. Speaking of just the evolution of the company, this facility, all of the halls here, this is 200,000 square feet. In 2021, in the middle of the pandemic, we expanded to a 200,000 square foot warehouse. So our facility is the size of this whole, hall 5, this whole thing. That's the size of our facility. I can't imagine it being packed with this many people. But so that was a huge step for us, a huge evolution for us. We also, necessity is the mother of invention. It was very difficult to hire and train people to keep up with the demand. One of the things that we had to do was optimize how we do fulfillment.
Yep.
I'm sure if you've placed a package or watched a mail day video, you see all these little paper receipts that we include in the orders going out. That was one of the things that we had to do in order to allow some of the new employees that don't know much about cards to be able to accurately make sure cards go in the right packages. And also, computers do a lot better with the barcode than with the photo of a trading card. And we now use a machine, or actually a set of machines, that sort the cards into the individual orders that are going out. So when we retrieve the cards in an enormous warehouse, we're not getting one order at a time. We're getting hundreds and sometimes even thousands of orders at one time, and then we're feeding them into a machine that sorts the cards into the individual orders. That's another innovation that happened during the pandemic. There's a lot more, but there's a big evolution we had to go through to scale the company to meet the demand.
So just want to touch on this topic just for a few more minutes. So that's one innovation. Maybe feel free to talk about one or two more that you felt were pretty key to the success of COMC.
Sure. There's on the ingestion side, we are seeing continued increased demand for our services. So we're doing a lot of work.
We'll pause for a sec.
Wow.
We're competing against Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
so just be aware. That's just
so on the ingestion side, we've had to do a lot of innovation in how we process cards. One of the things that we've been doing is actually from biomimicry. We're seeing how the body grows.
Yeah.
We grew the team by just adding more and more and more people to it. And it turns out after a while, that's not scalable.
Correct.
It's very difficult to continue growing and having these larger and larger and larger teams. So one of the things that we've been doing is creating smaller squads. Yeah. So you can think of it like the cell in a body. Yeah. And if you want to scale, we need more cells. We call them squads. We need more squads. So on the fulfillment side and now on our ingestion side, we've redesigned our processes to work with squads so that as we need to scale, we can just scale more squads rather than needing a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger team.
That's interesting. You're almost describing, in my world, as the agile delivery process. So that's very, very unique way of looking at it. Just give me 1 second here. So during the hobby in the last few years, there was a lot of innovation, not only at COMC, but people were starting up businesses in the trading card space. And we should look to you as a success. Obviously, 1 second. For those of you listening on live, well, there you go. And I lost my train of thought, so apologies there. So, during the pandemic, there was a lot of innovation, people starting up new business in the trading card space, in the hobby space. you went through a crazy time during the pandemic. What advice would you give to someone starting a business at this time in our hobby?
So one of the pieces of advice that I got starting out, I was listening to a panel of entrepreneurs, and on that panel was a friend of mine that I went to elementary school with. So I saw this, and I was like, oh, someone like me, I can be an entrepreneur. So I paid close attention to this panel, and one of the things that another panelist said was, you should find something that you're really passionate about. So obviously people, hopefully if you're starting a business in the trading card industry, you're really passionate about trading cards. But most businesses fail. It's very hard. The money is not always there. You have to push through. And if you're passionate about it, you'll stick through and you'll find a way. If you're doing it just because you think it's a quick buck, that's why most businesses can't survive. One of the reasons why they can't survive. So the feedback was, find something you're passionate about, stick with it, and maybe after a decade you might become an overnight success. So it's a lot of work. Don't expect it to come quickly. There's going to be ups and downs, especially in the trading card industry. It's wild right now. It seems easy one day, and then there's more competition, and there's other challenges. So you have to be passionate and ready to continually pivot as things change.
That's one thing, important thing to note is Tim is actually a collector. So he's not just a business. He collects Goran Dragic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And we just learned today that your wife is a Star Trek collector like myself. So it runs in the family, which makes it easy for you to want to work as hard as you do. So that's something, and then a very important part is, and you mentioned it, if you love something, it's not work.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember, I think it was on like DuckTales or something. I remember hearing a quote early on. I was in elementary school. If you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
I think I still work some days. There's some days that are not so much fun, but you can push through when you love it.
True, but you keep smiling, so that's the main thing. I'm going to do a bit of a different segue on a question here. It's like, if you had to, what is your least favorite thing in the business world that you would have to talk? If I could allow you to go in that direction.
So while I really appreciate getting an opportunity to share joy with so many collectors, that's the purpose of COMC, is to optimize joy for collectors. I now have a lot of employees and customers that depend on us. Yeah. And there's a lot of extra stress with that.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of people that are counting on us, whether for everything. Employees, like you said, and then our customers trust their cards with us. Yeah. So there's an extra level of stress that is, you have to really be passionate to be able to stomach it sometimes.
Yes, I can totally appreciate that. Now, I asked you your least favorite. You already answered the most favorite. What are one or two other highlights you'd like to bring up of your involvement in COMC?
For running a business? Yes. So obviously we get a chance to shape our hobby. Yeah. That's probably been the most inspiring thing, is I didn't have to just be in a job and do what someone else thought of. We were able to say, you know what? We're passionate collectors. How do we want to collect? What do we want to offer? Yeah. And then we could go shape it and build it to be what we wanted. Yeah. And selfishly, as a collector, a lot of the features on COMC were things that I wanted. Yeah. And then turns out many tens of thousands of other people wanted those same things too.
And it's thrived, and it's here, and it's going on very well. As you can imagine, like, we keep innovation breeds success. So we're good there. So one thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't want to gloss over, I want to make sure, COMC is here at the Sport Card Expo. At the National, they introduced the app, the mobile app, right? There's the Breaker program, ability to send cards to grading, which is pretty cool. What new features have been added to the website since then?
We just recently launched the ability to send your cards to eBay Live. Okay. So all the live auction functionality you can take advantage of. We launched that a few weeks ago, and the first time we launched it, it took like a couple days to fill like 4,000 spots. And the other day we filled, it was like 2,000 slots in 15 minutes. So it's taking off. People are really enjoying using the service. And we do all the work to list the cards through eBay Live. We go grab them from the warehouse. We show them on camera. We have the personalities that'll hype up the items and create a compelling experience.
Awesome. So, can you tell us any new features that are upcoming? Like, are we allowed to get a sneak peek? Is there anything we can?
I will give you one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been announced, but we did talk about it with some of our larger accounts.
Yeah.
We had a forum, and we let them in on some insights, but I don't know if it's public yet. So this next week, we're going to be launching a new website.
Okay.
So our existing website will still be up, but beta.comc.com will become public, and it's a new website built from the ground up on modern technology, and that's going to allow us to continue innovating at a faster pace than we have in a while. We have a whole team that's been working on it. And so that is something that we are hoping people will take advantage of during Black Friday and try out. You can go back and forth between the two sites. We also introduced a new feature on the existing COMC.com that allows, when you put things in your shopping cart or you're about to make an offer on something, it's no longer tied to the browser that you're in. It's tied to your account, so that you can go back and forth between the old site and the new site and still use the different functionality. And there's some new features on the new website. There's some things that we added to the mobile app that are now on the new website, and there's going to be continued additional improvements on all that.
I have to say thank you for the anchoring of the cart. Because I have an iPad, I have my work computer, my personal computer, and I'll be switching before, and I'll be forgetting where I actually stored my account, so I really appreciate that. One thing I want to touch on, which I forgot to mention, which was the other innovation piece is the challenges. Like that, actually, you got a lot of feedback. Can you talk a little bit about the COMC challenges and how that helped you?
Yeah. The COMC challenge was something we started about 10 years ago, and that helped us build the initial catalog that we've been working on. But then also, now we use the COMC challenge to help assist the team with the cards that are being consigned.
Yes.
So every card that gets consigned with us will actually show the images of the card to the crowd, and the crowd will tell us things like, what's the card number on the back? If it's serial numbered, what's the serial number? And that helps us get things on the site more efficiently. And so that's one of the ways we use the COMC challenge. It's basically a game. You get to look at pictures and you answer questions, and then we give you awards like some store credit, access to some historical sales information. Try to make it fun, and it's a win-win.
Yeah. So for guys like me, and I'm a COMC fanatic, don't get me wrong, but we always look forward to Black Friday sales. As a human species, we look forward to Black Friday sales for everything. How can we talk about what special things are happening for the Black Friday in COMC?
So all of our sellers, consistent with all the Black Fridays we've done in the last decade plus, will be able to run promotions for free. So typically we'll get thousands of sellers listing millions, tens of millions of items on sale. It's like a train going by. We've got to wait for the train.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Black Friday, as a buyer, you can expect there will be many millions of items listed on sale. As a seller, we are doing a couple different things that are different this year. One is we're starting the sales earlier.
Yeah.
So they're starting on Monday, I believe.
Yes.
A week from Monday.
Yes.
And also, if you sell $500 worth of cards, then you're going to get enrolled in a program that gives you access to a bunch of discounts through the rest of the year, so that basically you can replenish your store at a discounted rate. So that's a new program that we're doing. And then as a buyer, there's going to be some additional promotions that we haven't announced yet. But if you've looked at our promotions in the past, you could probably prepare. One of the things I want to remind people of, if you use your shopping cart, like we just said we improve, you got to be careful during Black Friday because the shopping cart doesn't reserve your items. You got to buy your items with store credit. If an item is on a pretty steep discount, you better not make an offer. You better just take the item before someone else scoops it up. But it's always a fun experience on COMC over Black Friday.
It's kind of that's a fun experience. What's even funnier is the freight train and the airplanes. Like we feel like we're in LaGuardia right now.
Actually, I did want to give another tip for buyers. So if you want to prepare for Black Friday, here's a little secret. Some other people may have figured this out, but if you put things in your shopping cart, and now you can share that between machines because it's linked to your account. Normally, when all of the tens of millions of items go on sale, it will take hours for our search results to update. They usually go live midnight Pacific time. It might not be until 9, 10 o'clock. Now on the East Coast, it might be like noon on the first day of the promotions that all of the sales are publicly visible in our search results. However, if you put things in your shopping cart that you're interested in, the shopping cart is live and Make Offers is live. And you can click, even if you add things to your watch list, you can then click on your watch list and that will be live. So you'll be able to see promotions and click on them and buy them before the search results have updated. So that's a little trick to get things before other people do.
It's a good thing this is recorded. I'm going to go back there. And check this out. I know, just kind of go a bit of a segue, a bit of a different spot for our talk here. Recently you were overseas. I believe you were in Germany. Give us a little bit of tidbit. What's happening with COMC in Germany, and how did the cultural differences between collectors there and here? You want to talk a bit about that? Yeah.
So just came back from Frankfurt. There's a card show that they did there. Card shows have started to become a little more popular in Europe. It's still nowhere to the maturity, even anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We grew up with cards. Canada and the U.S. grew up with cards. You could not have been a child and not known that cards existed 20, 30, 40 years ago. In Europe, it's different. They only had stickers. So a lot of them never experienced cards until recently. And even with the pandemic, they got a lot of this excitement. And so there's a lot of new collectors in Europe. But it's just not part of the culture. It's a very new thing for them. This was the first time we ever accepted consignments outside of the U.S. and Canada. So this was actually a big step for us, helping people get things into COMC. So we're hoping to do more of that. We're going to make things more efficient and develop relationships and figure out the right way to have a better presence in Europe. But that should open up for anybody that's selling cards. We're going to hopefully build a much stronger presence in Europe, and you'll get access to that market. Or if you're collecting things and people in Europe have the things that you want, we're going to try to make it easier for them to get those onto the site.
That's so exciting. And one thing that just came to my mind was, COMC has a lot of important relationships and partnerships with various corporations and Upper Deck and EPAC, which for those of you who can't make it to card shows, you can go on EPAC. You want to talk a little bit about that partnership?
Upper Deck has been an amazing partner of COMC. We started doing Upper Deck EPAC Connor McDavid's rookie year. And it's a great way for people that want access to cards at any time of the day. Maybe you don't have a card shop nearby. You can always go to upperdeckepac.com. The cards that are listed there, Upper Deck has sent to us, and we have ingested those cards, and then there's a third party that actually does the randomization of the packs, and you get a good pack opening experience. And then if you want any of the cards, we do the fulfillment. They're coming from our facilities. Our team puts the package together. They're random cards and packs. You may not want all of them. You can transfer them to your COMC account. You can list them on eBay. Now you can list them on eBay Live. You can send them to PSA or CGC to get graded. We handle all of that for you. And then when they're sold, they can be ship to whoever wants them. You can include other cards from Upper Deck EPAC. Upper Deck does some other programs like the Upper Deck Bounty. Upper Deck Tim Hortons.
Yes.
All of those autograph cards, those bounty prizes, you can transfer to your COMC account, and we can ship all of those in one package to you, or you can take advantage of all the other services that we provide.
So as you can see, COMC it's a very powerful ecosystem in the trading card world. So you can do a lot of things, you don't from the comfort of your own home. So Tim, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on here and doing the interview with us. What we have on our podcast, we have a very popular question that we ask at the end of it for all guests, and I want everyone to listen on this one because you might get inspired too. But Tim, what inspires you?
So our mission at COMC is to optimize joy for collectors. We really want to make sure people have an enjoyable experience. We started our business during the housing crisis in the US. I don't know that you had the same thing here in Canada, but back in 2008, it was stressful. People were having trouble paying their mortgages. And that was what birthed COMC. We were in this recession, and we wanted to just create something that would be a distraction. You could just spend a little bit of money and enjoy a hobby. And that's really where our passion has been, is just allowing collectors to get the cards that they want. And we are really grateful to still be in a position to share that joy with as many people as possible. So we're happy to be able to provide the service that we do, to share this, and whether it's a pandemic, whether it's the boom or the bust, giving people an opportunity to enjoy the hobby is what we're all about. And so that's why we come to work. That's what our team is passionate to do, and so we're grateful to be in a position to do that.
Thank you, Tim. Everyone, give a round of applause for Tim Getsch, CEO of COMC. Please check out the website, and please come again.
Thank you, Amit. It's been a pleasure.